Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming my fourth guest from the 1985 cult classic Teen Wolf, Charles Zucker. He played the role of Malcolm, the guy who was supposed to make out with Booth at the party. I'm having him on the show today to talk about that. He was also in The Warriors. It's my third guest from that movie coming up. And he's also a stand-up comedian. Came out in the comedy boom in the late 70s, all through the 80s and 90s. And I love talking to other comedians. And he was also in movies that Larry Brand directed, The Drifter, and Overexposed, Until the End of the Night. And I'm going to talk to him about all that stuff today, and it's going to be awesome. So yeah, here is my interview with Charles Zucker.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay. Hanging in.
Awesome.
I actually just want to warn you off the top. I was in a car accident last week, and I'm in some pain. So if you just hear grunting, it's just go ahead, broken ribs.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I had a bad car accident 5 years ago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, broke my leg in 7 places, severed my aorta, had a heart attack.
Ooh.
I was in a coma. I mean, it was bad.
Wow. Well, you win.
This is such a great.
What was your aorta?
Yeah, everything. I wasn't expected to live, but I did.
Yeah.
Wow. But you're okay overall?
I am okay overall. I'm on the mend, as we say,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm on drugs, so do the best we can.
Okay. Well, this is such a great honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you for asking me.
Absolutely. So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting and comedy early on in your childhood?
I did. I never really thought about doing comedy, except that I found the paper I wrote when I was in third grade, and I said I wanted to be a comedian. Like, where did that come from? So I guess I had it in my mind somewhere. But I never thought about it as an adult. I didn't think that was like a real profession that people were allowed to do. I didn't have it. I moved to New York, and I was trying to be an actor. And I had a roommate who was a comedian. I watched him do it, and I thought, well, I could do that. And I started doing it.
Wow. Did you watch the Tonight Show and Ed Sullivan and get influenced by certain people?
I used to watch Ed Sullivan, and I used to listen to Bill Cosby records.
Mm-hmm.
I used to listen to a lot of records. That was the way mostly when we heard comedy was that and the Ed Sullivan Show. And I remember feeling very critical about, like, I didn't like Carlin when I was like 12. I just didn't like his delivery. I thought he took every joke a beat too far.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I would have gotten the idea that I knew what was better or not. I just like comedy. If I had people over my house, I'd make them sit and listen to records. But I realized later that I was holding them hostage.
Cheech and Chong and George Carlin and all that stuff. Yeah.
Cheech and Chong, Robert Klein. There's a guy from Long Island, Chris Rush,
mm-hmm.
Who just died not long ago. He had a great album when I was in high school. I love Lenny Bruce when I was younger. I used to listen to what stuff was available.
Mm-hmm. Shelley Berman.
I wasn't that hip to Shelley Berman.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those guys you had to get into like later.
Yeah. Were you a comedy fan?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Like the Smuggler's Brothers?
Oh, yeah. My mother had the first comedy album I can remember getting into was Lily Tomlin's This Is a Recording. Yeah, my mom had that album. That was like my early introduction into comedy records.
It's funny, when I was, the I'm 62. So when I was a kid, Rona Martin's Laughing came on there, and it was a huge hit.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. It was the best thing in the world. And I just saw, like 2 weeks ago, they showed on like the Roku channel, you could watch Rona Martin's Laughing, like the actual shows. They're horrible.
Yeah.
There's not a funny thing in them.
No.
You realize the whole thing is just laugh track.
Yeah. I just interviewed someone from the 1970 cult classic Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, and Dick Martin's wife was in that movie, and I'm going to get in contact with her this week to interview her. Yeah, what a funny coincidence.
That's the one that Roger Ebert wrote, yeah?
Yeah, he did write it, and I still can't believe he wrote it. And I remember in his review, he gave it 0 stars, and to this day, I don't know. I don't know if he gave it 0 stars because it was bad, or just he was being self-deprecating to the fact that he wrote it. You know?
I think he was being honest. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I saw it once. I saw it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like a triple feature. It wasn't like I went to go see it, but I didn't know what I was watching. I'm still not sure what I was watching, but I remember him cutting off somebody's head with a sword.
Yeah.
He was a trans, and that was, I guess, a no-no back then to be trans.
Oh man,
it was not a good movie.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But you know, it's one of those cult classics. You gotta celebrate when it hits a milestone. You know. Did you do school plays in school?
I did school plays. Actually, I did some school plays. I'm a musician also, so I played the pit as often as not, and for orchestra. I played the pit for the good band Charlie Brown and Wizard of Oz, Van La Mancha, and then later on in Summerstock, I did Gypsy and my Guys and Dolls. Stood on the Roof.
Mm-hmm.
I guess another career I had was playing music.
Those are good plays, though.
Were you old enough to go to midnight movies?
I saw all my midnight movies on TV.
Yeah.
The only midnight movie in my generation was Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that will always be a midnight movie.
Yeah, that's still playing. So I used to have a perverse sort of thing I would do. Is that if I was seeing a girl and I wanted to kind of check her out, I would take her to see Eraserhead at midnight.
Eraserhead.
Check out her reaction.
Oh God, Charlotte Stewart is in that.
Really favorable.
Yeah, Charlotte Stewart's in that. I talked to her last year.
What does she play?
I forget her name in the movie, but she's the blonde, the short blonde-haired one.
Oh, yeah?
Do you remember? Yeah, and she was on Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you're originally from Bridgeford, Connecticut?
I'm really from Bridgeport. I really grew up in Fairfield, Connecticut, which is 3 minutes away from Bridgeport. Mm-hmm. And my parents' house is still there for another few weeks anyway. I grew up, raised, and went to New York about 3 weeks after I graduated high school because they wouldn't let me leave sooner.
So you went to college then?
I did a little bit of college, yeah. I went to NYU for a year. I accidentally got stuck in the experimental theater program at NYU. Mm-hmm. And which is sort of a waste of time to do. And, you know, and I don't think it's just NYU. I think there's a lot of schools, like, you weren't allowed to audition for shows in New York if you were going to college. Mm-hmm. It seemed like, well, I could actually go in a show and be in the show, or I could pay you money and we could talk about being in the show, but not really doing it. So I'm not sure that's such a great idea. So I dropped out after a year of that. Wow. I didn't get any jobs, mind you, but I had spent all that time that I would have been in college trying to get acting work.
Mm-hmm. And did you go straight to stand up after that?
No, thanks for asking. I spent 7 years trying to get an acting job before I got one, and in the meantime, I started playing piano and piano bars in New York City. I played all over uptown, downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I played the kind of places where people sing along with the piano player.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the misfortune of working in a club the year that New York came out.
Mm-hmm.
The Frank Sinatra version.
Yeah.
It means that every 20 minutes somebody new would come in and request it. Not that I'm going to play it on every 20 minutes, but about once an hour I have to play it. And people don't sing that song well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drinking along. So I was playing in a piano bar, a restaurant. Nobody was paying any attention to me. I just was playing my thing, and so I started making words up to songs that weren't the right words, and I just say stuff that nobody was listening to. I mean, it was I guess an existential nightmare. Just sitting there, nobody listening to me. And then one night somebody came up to me and said, "You know what? You should go take that to the Improv." So I started out as a music act at the Improv.
Mm-hmm. So
it wasn't anything that I had planned or anything that I wanted to do. It was just I had time at night. I had free time, and stand-up is great fun.
Mm-hmm.
Great fun.
So who was there at the Improv when you got there?
Well, it kind of goes like graduating class.
Right.
The graduating class before me, which means they were still there, but they were leaving soon, was Seinfeld, Paul Reiser, Carol Leifer, Larry Miller. So that was the class in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Overton, Barry Diamond. Those guys moved to L.A. like within weeks of me getting there, or they had left already.
I just talked to Barry a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
God, he was like one of those guys when we were starting out, and he was pretty established. He'd go do a set, we'd all go running into the room to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all pretty much watched everybody anyway, but it was a treat to watch Barry back then.
Yeah.
My age group was let's see, it was a lot of guys you don't know, or maybe some you know. Alan Havey, Ken Ober,
Yep.
Lou DiMaggio, John Heyman, John Mendoza, and then the next group coming up was Jon Stewart, Ray Romano.
Yep.
All that group. And it was who?
I was going to say Lois Bromfield there.
No, she's much older.
Okay.
Yeah, and she, I think, was more in L.A., wasn't she?
Well, she was in New York for like a year, I think she told me, and then she went to L.A. Yeah.
But, see, like, I haven't done it in a long time, but I can pick up the phone and I've gotten comics to come over and bring me groceries because I've been on my back.
Mm-hmm.
They're great.
Oh, wow.
And the way it worked is we would at the Improv, you didn't have a spot, you just went. And you hung out, and you waited for them to pick you. And you got picked, you got to go on stage, and then also you got to eat, which was a double bonus. And so you were sitting there, and basically this cauldron simmering every night after night, week after week, year after year. I mean, these guys, we lived together for years, doing nothing but like just killing time together.
Mm-hmm.
So comics have a pretty tight bond when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I did stand up in San Francisco for 10 years, and yeah, it was completely different by the time I got into it and stuff. It's much more competitive and backstabbing.
That's too bad.
It is. It's pretty bad. Yeah.
Some of it has to do with availability of stage time.
Mm-hmm.
When there's scarcity, there's going to be more bad feelings and backstabbing.
Yeah.
I was in what was affectionately referred to as a comedy boom. We had a lot of clubs in town, and like on a Saturday night, I could work 4 or 5 clubs in the same night.
Mm-hmm.
And other people could do the same thing, and I wasn't taking away from anybody else.
Yeah. Did you go to Catch a Rising Star?
I used to work at Catch. I used to work at the Improv. I worked at Comedy Cellar a lot. That's where I mostly hung out toward the end there. But I couldn't pass
Mm-hmm.
Lucian just wouldn't pass me for some reason. So I was, everyone else was happy to have him. Lucian just, I don't see it.
Wow. Yeah. I know some people I know don't get passed, because the owners don't see them that way and stuff. It's weird, like I've heard the stories about Mitzi Short, the Comedy Store, not passing, Seinfeld or Louis C.K. or Sarah Silverman.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you see somebody doing comedy and they bomb or they don't do well, you can't imagine that material is ever funny.
Yeah.
Just, the light is on and the curtains are open. It's like, how is that ever funny?
Yeah.
There's a bit of an illusion involved in creating your act. But, I just thought it was funny that, and I went back to college for a while, at Hunter College for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And Lucian, who was the booker at comic strip, was in my class. We were in a couple of classes together.
Mm-hmm.
Still wouldn't pass me. And so, this certainly should give me some pull. Nope, wouldn't pass me.
Oh my God. So when you, what year did you get to LA?
So I moved to LA. I was here in New York. I was in New York since the mid-70s. And, in 84, I got a pilot in California. So I moved out there, and I've been here ever since. So 84 was when the Olympics were here. So it was a fun time to be here.
Yeah. Did you go to the Comedy Store?
I've barely set foot in the Comedy Store. When I got here, I was told, whether or not how true it was wasn't known to me, but it was like you pick one. You either go to the Improv, or you go to the store.
Yeah.
And very few people got to do both. And since I was an improv act, I had connections with my agent with the Improv. Bud liked me okay, so I didn't even want to risk that by going over to the store. That was scary stuff that you hear about the store.
Yeah, oh yeah. I've heard all the stories about all the crazy shit that happened in that place, and there's a couple people I've talked to, that never set foot in there either. It's quite interesting when you hear that though, because I mean everybody went there even if they didn't get past, but a couple people I've talked to didn't and stuff. And when you got to LA, who were the comics that you got to know?
Well, some of them were. I moved here kind of ahead of my class, as I said, and so I was. I remember having Schmock and Dowley. They were friends of mine, and Dom Herrera and Jeff Martyr over for X one morning.
Love Dom.
Dom's a dud.
Yeah.
Dom was around when I was in New York, and he came out here soon after I got here.
Yeah.
So they were around, and Fred Stoller, Gilliam Cornell, Don Solomon,
Tom Wilson.
Tom Wilson I was in the show with, but I didn't know him from stand-up. I was in a pilot with him. We did a pilot with him and Jake Johansson.
Oh, yeah.
And the show is actually written for Jake. It was called Iron Men. It was guys being guys kind of stuff. You don't see that on TV much.
Yeah. And then
you know Tom?
I don't know Dom personally, but I've been a huge fan of his forever.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I used to. He had a podcast that he would do from the Laugh Factory for like years and years. Last time he did was probably like a year ago or so. I used to listen to it all the time or watch it on YouTube. Oh. Yeah.
I should listen to that. I like Tom. He's so funny because you meet Tom and you expect to see Biff, and if you've never met him before. And he's not Biff.
Oh, I was talking about Dom Irera, but yeah, Tom, he had a podcast for a while too.
Oh yeah, no, I know Dom's. I know what you're talking about. I know what Dom's podcast Jamie Massato.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom
Jamie,
Wilson.
by the way, Jamie is one of the all-time great guys in comics.
Yeah. I heard he likes to take credit for everybody's success, though.
That may be. He, when he started out, or at least when I was starting out here, he had the Laugh Factory was a hole in the wall. I mean, it was nothing. And he started out having Thanksgiving dinner for comics who didn't have a place to go. He would throw a Thanksgiving dinner, and he'd do Christmas dinners for people who didn't have places to go. And he's always doing stuff like that for the community that really, without the publicity, people didn't know he was doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I just thought he was kind of a stand-up guy like that.
I mean, I heard that place was going under until Michael Richards had his meltdown on stage there. You know?
Yeah, Dom is hilarious. Dom is one of those guys who comes a little bit under that comic category where if you have a bunch of comics together, Dom's going to be one of the funny people among those people. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't care.
Jimmy Walker had this great quote he said in an interview. He says, 100% of the comedians I know claim to be the greatest comedian of all time, but 99% of those is Dom Irrera. Love that.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So when you got out to L.A., Kinnison and Dice was just starting to make waves, right?
Yeah. I had a history with Kinnison, which is incredible to have if you live in New York.
Yeah.
I met him socially in New York. Won't bore you with the details, but we were like friends.
Uh-huh.
And he wasn't Sam then. He was just another late night act.
Yeah.
And I got him booked on 2 spots at the Cellar. And the first night he goes up and fucking queers the room like you've never seen.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen him, talk about an act, if it doesn't work, you can't imagine that it ever works.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no one could imagine that this thing was ever funny. He's screaming at the audience. People are covering their ears. People are leaving because it's such agony to listen to. And then the next night comes out, and the owner doesn't put him on, but he doesn't tell me he's not going to put him on. He's kind of Sam's just kind of waiting to go on. And the owner was also the MC at the club. And while the MC was on stage, Sam stands up in the middle of the club and screams at him, "Why didn't you tell me you weren't going to put me on, you fucking asshole?"
That sounds like something you do, yeah.
Yeah, so he storms out. The MC storms up after him. I find out later, just cut to the chase, he blamed me for it. And when I got to L.A., he was like bad about me to his comedy store before I'd even gotten there. So I went and looked for him. I found him at the Westwood. That's how long ago it was. It was the Westwood Comedy Store.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so long ago you could call out Sam Kinnison without fearing for your life.
Yeah.
So we had words about it. We kind of smoothed it over, but it's like, you know what, I'm just never going to put it down. So yeah, those guys were big. I think Dice a little bit in New York.
Mm-hmm.
The best line about Dice was Mike Dugan.
Yeah.
He said, "We all don't hate you, Dice. We all just like characters who hate you."
I remember you did an evening at the Improv and MTV half-hour comedy. Did you ever get on HBO or Showtime?
No. I had some trouble with different places because I use a lot of copyrighted music.
Oh.
I was rumored to. I had good management, so I was rumored to be in line for HBO Young Comedians one year. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one of the deciding factors. Or just that I saw it. It's one or the other. No, so I didn't hit HBO. I didn't hit Showtime. No, didn't hit Tonight Show.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you get on the Tonight Show?
I did not get on Tonight Show.
Oh. Did you ever do Letterman?
I did not do Letterman.
Wow.
So what are you doing on my show then? I thought you
Wow. So you think you didn't get on TV because of copyright music?
Um, I mean, there certainly was an issue, but it was also some people just don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't like a music actor. It's like they consider you're like kind of a middle act in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
You're like a guy with a guitar or something like that. I don't know. I counted it up one day. I did about 25 comedy shows, episodes on you could do so many shows. You could do I did Eating of Improv like 3 or 4 times, or
Yeah.
What's that one? Comic Strip Live was on there all the time. So it wasn't like I didn't get any exposure because of it.
Mm-hmm. Did you know Hugh Fink?
I know Hugh Fink, yeah.
Yeah, he was up. Yeah, he was on one of Rodney Dangerfield's specials, and he played "Smoke on the Water" on the violin.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so he was able to get that on TV, But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a hacky kind of a thing to play music on stage, especially nowadays. No one's doing that now. I haven't seen anybody do that.
Right. Well, maybe it's time for the comeback.
Maybe. Maybe after after this quarantine and your recovery, you can get back on stage and do it.
Yeah.
So let's get into the acting roles. I didn't even realize you had a role in The Warriors.
The Warriors.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, I was an extra, but no one was just an extra in The Warriors. You got a costume.
Yeah.
So, I forgot the name of the gang I was in, but I had a straw hat.
Mm-hmm.
The thing took place out in 96th Street, Riverside Park in Manhattan, and it was late. It was midnight, and most of the extras were real gang members that they had recruited so that they would look. And nobody had any idea what we were in. We were all dressed up in costumes and stuff like that, and gang members were very disrespectful of the production because they were like, gang members don't dress like this.
Yeah.
Really, they don't dress up with their faces painted on roller skates. So it was kind of scary. There was like one cop, and there were hundreds of us, as you can see. So I was in the scene where Cyrus got shot.
Mm-hmm.
We had to do I was there when he said, "Can you dig it? Can you dig it?"
Yeah.
And then we all cheer like crazy. Well, we didn't really cheer. We had to cheer silently because they're going to add it in post. I know why we can't just cheer. You just turn the sound down, but I don't know how that stuff works. So that was it's and I ended up leaving early because I got sick. I was like, it was raining for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
and I just caught a cold and I left, and they didn't pay me. But I was still like I was present for an iconic moment in movie history.
Oh yeah.
The shooting of Cyrus, but didn't even get paid for it.
Oh, that sucks. I've talked to 2 other guys from the movie. Thomas.
Oh, yeah?
Thomas Waits. He ended up getting fired. Sure. And then last week, the woman who I interviewed from Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, she put me in touch with Apache Ramos, and I got to interview him the next day because they're actually in-laws. And yeah, and oh my God, he's so proud of this movie. He was just taking me in so many different directions with stories about this movie and stuff because it's really enriched his life.
I wish I'd been in more. People love the movie.
Yeah.
My wife used to work in a restaurant, and her boss would feed me for free because I was in the movie.
Wow. How is Walter Hill as a director?
Oh no, don't even know what he looks like.
Really?
I was in second unit, so I don't know I don't even know where he was or what he looked like.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, the second unit director was Bob Bart because they called for him, and everybody in the extras would mock that person. And I was like, this is just, I'm telling you, it was so scary. It was the middle of the night, and just gang members dressed up in these terrible costumes. So, please be over with. I can't imagine how this is going to be anything any good.
Yeah, at the time, you probably thought that.
At the time, when I went to the theater when it opened, because I was curious, obviously, and I thought it would be pretty cool because I'm in the movie, and then I was in the movie theater, and there was probably 50 guys in the theater were in the movie. Like, hey, there's you. Hey, Johnny, there's you. Hey, there's... So everybody going to see when it came out because they wanted to see it, so.
Yeah. Now, I have to ask everybody who's involved in this movie this question. Did you see, personally, any riots in the movie theaters after this movie came out?
No.
Yeah, neither did Apache, but Thomas did. He said he saw.
Oh, really?
He said he saw a couple. Yeah.
I think the Wanderers caused a riot.
The Wanderers did too, and then another movie. And by the way, all three of these movies were released in the same year. The Warriors, The Wanderers, and Over the Edge.
Over the Edge with Matt Dillon.
Yeah, which, by the way, that's based on a true story that happened with my mother's best friend's ex-boyfriend. He was involved in the real-life killing that happened in that movie.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Happened in the Bay Area. Yep.
There was another one that never got released in that gang cycle. It was Walk Proud with
I've heard of that.
Macho, something like that.
Maybe, yeah. I've heard that title though.
It was like a Chicano gang movie.
Mm-hmm. But then what?
They just chickened out. They go, we're not releasing. But they didn't release Over the Edge, essentially.
Yeah, well, Over the Edge until Eddie and the Cruisers came out, that was the most watched movie on HBO.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then Ralph Macchio ended up doing The Outsiders, which wasn't that bad of a gang movie, of course.
Right, of course.
It was more nostalgic. Yeah. Coming of age.
The Warriors caused riots just because it was fun. People just got like their adrenaline up. It was just a fun movie to watch.
Mm-hmm. I think so, too. Yeah, I've never really analyzed it, but that's probably why. So how does the Teen Wolf come into your life?
Well, I get a call to audition for Styles.
Mm-hmm.
Are we Teen Wolf knowledgeable?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Very.
I got 3 for Styles, and as you find out later, a lot of times you read for things and you don't have a chance at the part. Not that you have a little bit of a chance, but basically Styles is balking at his quote to be in the movie, and they're looking for somebody to replace him in case he decides to quit. But more, they're just looking to say, look, we got somebody already, so you better sign up or else. So I was reading for Styles, and it wasn't a real read.
Mm-hmm.
Casting director's name was Paul Ventura, great guy. And he said, well, do you want to be in it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And so he gave me the part of Malcolm, which had one line. Malcolm was the assistant manager, team manager.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was called. He had a clipboard. So I get that, and I had a girlfriend that I lived with for a couple of years, and after she left me,
Mm-hmm.
she left me for the actor who played Styles. I'd never met him before.
Really?
Someone introduced him, and he sort of like blanched when he realized who I was, because he had certainly heard about me. I had not heard about him, and I was certainly happy not to. So really, that was a weird thing. And then the actor who played, what's his name? Mark Arnold was the actor.
Yeah, I've talked to Mark.
Mark's great. Mark and I were friends before Teen Wolf. It was just that coincidence we got on there.
Yeah.
And I knew Michael. I knew Michael J. Fox before Teen Wolf. I was friends with him, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
I was friends with like the whole group of young actors in Hollywood my age, like Nancy McKean, Phil McKean, and
yeah.
I'd be hard for us to come up with more names, but
Yeah.
Like he had a house up in one of the canyons,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a room that was not filled, but it was starting to get filled with stuffed moose. He said, that's his moose room. He's 24 years old, or whatever he was, and he already had an extra room at his house that he didn't know what to do with. I mean, that's what it's like when you're young and rich. It's like, I don't even know what to do with this, with what I have already. And so I get cast, and you have specific questions about T-Wolf?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember because Malcolm was supposed to be the guy that Booth makes out with at the party.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only time his name is mentioned.
Exactly.
So I had one line at the very, very beginning,
mm-hmm.
and they cut it, probably because they didn't deliver it very well. The other part was because I didn't deliver it very well. It didn't add anything to the scene. It was in the locker room. And so since they took that away from me, I was now a glorified extra as far as anybody else can see. As you astutely noted, I do have a character who was also make out with Booth. I don't even think I ever met Booth. But
Wow.
I basically sat next to Jay Tarsis as the coach of the basketball team
mm-hmm.
for the entire run of the show. We run the movie. I'm in the whole movie. If you ever went back and watched, yep. I'm in it in almost every frame. So there in all the basketball scenes.
Yeah.
And Jay Tarsis, by the way, is one of the funniest people on earth.
Oh yeah. Jim McCrell told me he was hilarious on that movie.
So I just got to sit next to him and just have my own audience, be an audience. It was just great.
Yeah. Yeah, he to me, him and Jerry Levine, who plays Styles, to me, those two steal that whole movie.
Yeah. Jake came up with a lot of anything that was funny. Jake came up with himself. Like he came up with this thing about like there's three things I know. One's with a man whose name is the same as that of the city.
Yeah. Never go.
He had a place called Mom's.
Never go near a lady with a tattoo of a dagger on her right arm or something.
Anywhere on her body.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. They gave them really crappy lines, and he would just like, "How about this?" And then he would just rattle it off, and they go, "Yeah, okay, we'll do that."
Yeah. He had a web series for a while. I think it was called Wisdom from an Old Guy or something. It was where, yeah, he's like living in a wood cabin, and like he's giving advice to the camera, and then you see a montage of him doing outdoor stuff for like a few minutes, and then that's it. It was like a bunch of webisode shorts. Yeah. He's such a funny guy. Yeah, I've interviewed Mark Arnold, Jim McCrell, and Liz Gorsey, who played Tina from the movie, and she said that Michael J. Fox was just great. Loved working with him. Yeah.
Like I said, Mark and I knew each other from before that, so it was good having him around. It was out in Simi Valley, and it was during the summer. It was really hot. It gets hot in Simi in the summer.
Yeah.
110 kind of hot. So they come to the stands filled with extras.
Mm-hmm.
They say, "Okay, who wants to play basketball?" And everybody, of course, wants to play basketball. So they picked out the basketball players were mostly extras. They're not even principal. Meaning they didn't get paid like principal, and they didn't get billed like principal. Their names are pretty anonymous, if they're listed at all. But they wanted to play on the team, so once they got picked to be on the teams, they stayed on as members of the team.
Mm-hmm.
I got a call a few months ago from a guy. That's the way I got a call from you. I got a call from a guy who said, I'm posting a theory that Malcolm is the real MVP of the basketball game. I'm like, okay, I'm curious what you're talking about. So it turns out he thinks Malcolm is one of the other basketball players. I go, no, those guys don't even have names. I'm the only one with a name. Like I said, I'm a glorified extra.
Yeah. I read on IMDb that Rod Daniels said that he had 20 hours of the worst amateur basketball footage ever.
That's hilarious. And kind of a hotshot basketball player. But nobody ever ran a play.
Yeah.
You can look at it, Chubby. He's going to run a play.
Yeah. I tried to get in touch with Mark Holton, who played Chubby. He just started a Facebook fan page like at the end of last year, and I just found out about it like in January or something. And I've sent him a few messages, and I've commented on a few things, asking to be on my podcast. He probably doesn't know what a podcast is yet, or I have to like jump through the hoops or something. But I'm not going to give up. I'll try to get him.
My name will help you not at all.
Yeah. I almost got Lori Griffin, who plays the love interest, Pam, the crush, and stuff. She was the manager of Perry's Cafe in Venice Beach, and I emailed them, and they said that she had just left like 6 months before. So yeah, we'll see. Because I messaged her on Facebook like years ago and didn't hear back. So we'll see. But
one of the things was Michael wasn't a very good basketball player. I don't think there's I'm telling any tales out of school.
He's a little guy.
He's a little guy, and he just doesn't have a great jump shot. And they had a shot one day, and like I said, it was over 100 degrees, and they had a crane shot shooting down through the glass backboard. Michael had to make a fadeaway jumper, and he had to make it. And otherwise they had to reset and start the whole scene all over again. And which was going to take some time. So there was all this activity going on. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And so what's going on? We said, oh, well, we're just betting on how many shots it's going to take him to make it in. The director's up there. You guys are betting on it? And they're like, yeah, do you want to? And I go, yeah, okay, I'll take 8. And they go, you can't have 8. I go, why not? They go, director's got 8.
Yeah, Mark told me that Coleman and Rosenblatt, they decided to shelve the movie until after Back to the Future came out.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
This was Michael's big movie. This was his after what's the show?
Family Ties.
What's it?
Family Ties.
Family Ties. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people made their hiatus movies when they could. That was a big deal. It was really Michael's first movie, and he was really enjoying himself being, the movie guy. And then we all know what happened historically with Eric Stoltz, and then those guys were geniuses to go, well, why don't we just sit on this movie and let that one come out first?
Yeah.
This was crazy. The movie came out in what, 85?
Absolutely.
Okay, remember, I don't have any lines, and I sit there in the stands and do nothing. I got a check for $68 last week.
Wow.
I'm still getting checks that I got to have dinner with 30 years later.
You say it was 60.
Check my math.
You said $68?
Yeah, $68 gross. I mean, net, not even
wow.
gross. I mean, I get several $100 a year for. I don't know who these people are who haven't seen it yet, but there's some left, or people just want to keep seeing it. But then I think about what it must be like for real actors who are in real movies that play all the time, and they just stroll out to the mailbox, empty it out.
Did the Atlantic guys, they put you in Modern Girls right after that?
Yeah, same casting director. I was that's one of those feathers in your cap when you have a character named like Guy in Line.
Yeah.
I believe I was Guy in Line number 2. I think I said there was a guy. Basically, we were in line at a club trying to get in, like an exclusive nightclub, and everybody's shouting stuff at the guy. Somebody shouted, I was in Star Search. Somebody shouted, it was my wife's dying request. One of them was me. I don't remember which. I don't think I've seen that movie more than once.
Yeah, I saw it a couple of times, like back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, and I interviewed a guy from it, Chris Nash. Yeah. You guest starred on Simon and Simon.
That was fun. That
Yeah.
was a, well, I got to be like an actor, sort of, with those guys. It's amazing. Those guys are such pros who do shows like that. They just go in and crank it out. And like, next thing they're fun to work with. They're supportive. But you got to be prepared and you got to be ready to just go on. And you're not going to get a second take on it, really. I played a kid who was just about to turn 18, and I committed a petty crime. They were going to say they were going to hold me over till I turned 18 and make it a real arrest.
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically the deal. Was again, same amount of time as Teen Wolf. I must have been 27, 28. All of us were like Arnold. He's like 2 years older than me, so he must have been 30 when we did Teen Wolf.
Yeah, my friend Kelly Maroney. She played the rich girl in that episode of Simon and Simon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She was also in that show with Jason Bateman, wasn't she?
No.
I'm thinking of a different girl.
Yeah, definitely a different girl. Yeah, no. Kelly, she should have had her own series and stuff, but she didn't get to. Yeah.
Well, I'd say we were all teenagers for as long as they would cast us as teenagers.
Yeah.
We used to make fun of Fonzie for being, 50, whatever he was. So at some point in my early 30s, the teenage role started to dry up.
Yeah. And then you did 3 movies with Larry Brand.
Larry Brand, God bless him. He died last year. Larry's a friend of mine. Larry has me in a movie called The Twister.
Mm-hmm.
And he has me as guy in parking lot number 2.
Yeah.
And he asked me, because I'm his friend, do you want a name? And I said, yeah, I want to be Jerome. I was like, okay. And the credits roll and it says Jerome. He puts me in the next movie. He goes, well, what do you want your name to be in this movie? I said, how about Jerome? In the first movie, I'm playing a guy who's about to rape the girl. And this one, I'm playing a janitor. And he's like, well, the janitor got his shit together, and he's trying to keep his job. It's the same guy. And then, I forget the next one, but one of them I was in, I played a guy who goes to, like, a conventioneer,
Mm-hmm.
in, like, this scene of debauchery, of coke, and horrors and everything. At the end of it is be with this girl, and I have a badge on my chest that says, hi, my name is Jerome, what's yours?
Oh, boy.
And then he did a movie called Mask of the Red Death, which took place in, like, I forget, the 15th century, 16th century.
Yeah.
So I had something named Marcellus or Corvellis or something. I don't know. And it came out, and I said, Larry, you got to let me change it in IMDb. You got to let me change it to Jerome. And he goes,
Mm-hmm.
all right. And they changed it back. But for a while, if you looked me up in IMDb and you looked up all the roles in his movies, I played Jerome in every movie.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What kind of a director was he? I mean, was he a disciplinarian or was he easy to work with?
No, he was great to work with. He loved actors. He gave them a little bit of leeway, and he wrote everything pretty tight. But it was easy the words came off the tongue well, so it wasn't. He didn't fight the director or the writer on the words. He had sort of a vision about what he was doing, and like I said, he died last year. He was not that old, and he was still working on it.
Mm-hmm. That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you guest starred on the short-lived new Dick Van Dyke Show.
One of the many short-lived Dick Van Dyke shows, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
They all just had different versions of his name.
Of course.
This one, he was a summer stock actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was cast. I was cast by the producer, writer, and I was to make an appearance in the 3rd episode. I'm not on the pilot. At the time that I got cast, the producer director got fired, and the new team comes on, and I come and show up for work the first day, and they have no idea who I am. I have a contract for 7 episodes, but they have no idea who I am, why I'm there, what my character is. Not the way you want to start out.
Yeah.
So my character lived as long as the show lived, which was not very long.
Yeah.
It's just like everything about this is just not right. Nothing's working on this thing at all. But Dick was great. Dick was really fun to be with, and he was really sweet. Very kind of paternal to the actors. And,
yeah.
Also a little more insecure than you'd think somebody of his stature would be.
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody who's brilliant in comedy is insecure.
Yeah.
And I've never heard a bad thing about Dick Van Dyke other than, he was a drunk for a long time, but other than that, he was a great guy. Yeah.
And his son was on the show, too. I guess he was also on the medical show.
Barry?
I used to do my scenes with him. I liked him. He was fun to work with.
Mm-hmm. So did it get to a point where you just couldn't get roles anymore?
Well, we certainly hit that point somewhere. There's a lot of things that will my agents dumped me at some point, and it's hard to get roles without an agent. I got a lot of heat from doing stand-up, because people were always in the stand-up clubs looking at talent that way. So I would sometimes generate my own interest in that, but when I stopped doing stand-up, that went away also. So it all kind of collapsed together just to, like I said, I'm not playing a teenager anymore. There really wasn't any roles.
Mm-hmm.
That was crying. For instance, if I went to an audition back in the 80s, I'd be in a room full of guys who looked just like me.
Yeah.
Same build, same age, same. I started to, and for commercials, I would go out. Now I'm starting, there's a guy like 6'5" in the room. There's an Asian guy. There's a sumo wrestler. Now I'm in the freak box. I'm no longer like a young father or something like that. It's just the freaks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was starting to fall into.
Wow. And did you quit stand-up? Obviously, you probably did, right?
I guess I quit stand-up. I just stopped doing it. It's the same as quitting.
Yeah. Wait,
I didn't have a formal. I did do a last gig on the road, and I actually turned down jobs after that. So I did sort of determine it on my own, but I was sort of having a hard time, and stand-up was not working at the time for me, so I just stopped doing it.
What year was that?
I don't know. Somewhere in the 90s.
Yeah. You know Tom Parks?
No, I know the name, but I don't know.
Yeah, he was a stand-up from, the mid-'70s all the way until, I think it was 2008, 2009. He stopped, and he said the reason he stopped was because one night he was doing a show on the road, and he was opening for this comedian who had been doing it as long as he had, and he was just extremely bitter and extremely negative. And he himself was internally that way, and he wasn't externally that way. And he thought to himself, I better get out of this. After this gig, I better get out of this. Otherwise, I'm going to be just like him. So he stopped because of that. Yeah. He said it was just a profound awakening to him.
The problem is that there's nothing. I still, after all these years, I haven't had anything to replace it in my life that's as fun as doing that was. It was really just great fun. Did you enjoy doing it?
I did. There was just a lot of bullying going on. Yeah, especially after I came back from my accident, it was really bad. Just the shit talking people would do, and they would just go to lengths to just try to get you blacklisted and all this horrible stuff. It was,
really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's terrible.
They're assholes in the Bay Area. They really are, And I talked to a lot of the older guys that came up in the Bay Area in your era, like Steve Pearl and John Means, and they just told me, yeah, back when we were coming up, it was all camaraderie. Everyone supported each other.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that nobody was like that. I would certainly hear about something like that, but the general tone was we like being at the Improv every day. We like hanging out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other comics would have your back.
Everybody loved the hang, I heard.
Yeah.
The hang was good. Yeah. I mean, I was a guy who would go in, I would do my set, and then leave. I didn't want to hang out with all these alpha male comics who were just bad-mouthing other comics. That's just not who I am. I just didn't want to be a part of it, you know. And it held me back, but at the same time, you know, I feel I can live with myself that way, you know.
When I lived in New York, when I lived in LA, I would go to the Improv and I would just do my set and leave. I wouldn't hang out like I did in New York. And like Bill Maher would make me cry. I'd like leave. And he just can't help himself. He's just. If I thought about it in retrospect, he probably wasn't as mean as I thought he was.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it was like nobody's being very nice to me here.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of warm and fuzzy going on around here, really. And you know, in LA, things are a little more cutthroat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can be. So you mentioned before the accident that you just had, but aside from that, what do you do these days when quarantine's not happening?
When quarantine's not happening?
Yeah.
Wow, I remember that. That was a while ago. I have a couple of kids.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is being very quiet right now because she's got her headphones on. I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old daughter.
Oh.
Same person. No, just two girls. And I like raising them. My ex-wife we get along fine. And if you told me ahead of time that after the split you'd end up with these kids, I would go, all right, that's worth it. That would be okay.
Oh, that's wonderful. God bless you, man.
Thanks. You have children?
No. For many years I wanted them, and then after my accident, I'm like, I'm not cut out for it. Maybe it'll change in the future, but it's not my focus anymore. It's not my.
I had kids late. I got married late. I got kids late. I got kids like older. My youngest I was 51 when she was born.
Wow.
Being this old means that I don't have that urge to go out or to hang out with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just don't have that restlessness that you have when you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I have tons more patience and obviously gratitude for that I have something so late in life. So I think they get what they lose from a more active father, they get in a more present father.
Wow. Yeah. Having kids changes you. That's what everyone's told me. You know, your priorities change. Wow. That is just wonderful. And you still working on stuff?
I'm still working on stuff. If I come up with a project that goes all the way through, I'll let you know.
Awesome.
I'm always working on something. I always work on like 4 or 5 things at a time. Some things just go to a certain point. Like if you visited Michelangelo's studio in Rome,
mm-hmm.
or in Florence, there are all these statues that are like they only go up to the nose, or they're not right. They stop halfway through.
Yeah.
That it just wasn't right. I just didn't make it that far. I think when you can finish something, it's a miracle.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like what Seinfeld said: pick your torture that you're comfortable with.